The shadows in her house. She worked from home taking calls for the hospital. Not emergency calls. Not the kind that came in screaming. Hers were softer than that. Most people answered quickly. Some talked too long. Some just needed another human voice on the line. Marla was good at that part. She had a calm voice, the kind people trusted without knowing why. She lived alone in a small house at the end of Sycamore Street, where the trees leaned over the road and scraped the power lines when the wind came through. The neighbors knew her, but not well. They saw her bring groceries in. They saw her water the flowers. They saw her sit on the porch in the evenings, rocking slowly, smiling at nothing, sometimes laughing, sometimes turning her head like someone had just whispered in her ear. That was enough for people to talk. "Nice lady," Mrs. Keller next door would say. Then after a pause, she'd add, "A little odd." The kids on the block were less polite. They called her the Shadow Lady. Marla knew. She didn't mind. That morning, she sat at her desk with her headset on, typing notes into the hospital system. "Yes, ma'am," she said. "I'll make sure that gets passed along." A soft scrape came from the kitchen. Marla stopped typing. The woman on the phone kept talking. Marla looked toward the hall. Another sound followed. Glass against tile. Then a small clink. Marla closed her eyes for half a second. "Ma'am, I'm going to place you on a brief hold." She clicked the button, removed her headset, and stood. The house went quiet. Too quiet. She walked down the hallway slowly. The kitchen door stood half open. A thin shadow moved across the gap. Fast. From the refrigerator to the pantry. Marla froze. For one breath, she looked like any woman alone in a quiet house after hearing something she couldn't explain. Then she pushed the door open. Two drinking glasses lay on the floor. Not broken, just knocked down. A dark shape slid up the corner where the cabinets met the wall, thin as smoke, then disappeared into the ceiling shadow. Marla put both hands on her hips. "Really?" The room stayed still. She picked up the glasses and set them on the counter. "If you all are going to make noise while I'm working, you could at least do the dishes instead of throwing them around." The light above the sink flickered once. Marla pointed at it. "Don't start." Something shifted under the table. Not a body. Not exactly. More like the room had remembered a person and forgot to finish making one. Marla sighed. "I'm taking lunch early." Outside across the street, Daniel Cross sat in his truck and watched her kitchen window. He had been watching for 3 weeks. He knew when she worked, knew when she took lunch, knew she lived alone. No husband, no boyfriend, no visitors. Just a woman who talked to herself on the porch and laughed at empty chairs. He had seen the neighbors avoid her. He had heard the kids whisper, "Crazy lady." That made him smile. Crazy women were easier to doubt. That night, Marla finished her last call at 6:12. She made tea, ate toast standing at the counter. Then she went out to the porch and sat in the old wooden rocker. The evening was warm. The streetlights came on one by one. "Long day," she said. The empty chair beside her rocked once. Just once. Marla smiled. "I know. I heard you in the kitchen." A shadow slipped along the porch railing. Not enough for a person to see clearly. Just enough for someone watching to blink and lean forward. Daniel sat in his truck beneath the trees. He narrowed his eyes. For a second, he thought someone had crossed behind her. But there was no one there. Only Marla, rocking, talking, laughing softly. Daniel waited until the porch light went off. He waited longer after that. At 2:17 in the morning, he came through the back door. He was careful. Gloves, dark clothes, no headlights in the driveway. He had done enough bad things to know quiet mattered. The kitchen smelled faintly of lemon soap and tea. Moonlight laid itself across the floor in pale squares. Daniel stepped inside and closed the door behind him. Something clicked in the hallway. He stopped. Listened. Nothing. He smiled again. Old house, old pipes. Crazy woman. He moved through the kitchen. A shadow gathered near the pantry. Daniel didn't see it. Another one slid beneath the table, long and thin, stretching toward his boots. He didn't see that either. He only saw the hallway. The bedroom door at the end, half open. He started toward it. Then Marla spoke from the dark. You should leave. Daniel froze. She stood near the living room entrance in her robe, holding nothing in her hands. No phone, no weapon, just standing there. That made him bolder. You alone? He asked. Marla looked past him, into the kitchen, into the corners. No. Daniel laughed under his breath. That right? The shadows behind him grew thicker. The corners of the room seemed to lean forward. Marla's face changed then. Not fear, not panic. Something sadder, almost tired. I told you to leave. Daniel took one step toward her. That was as far as he got. Something grabbed his ankle. His smile vanished first. That was the thing Marla remembered later. Not the scream, not the sound of his body hitting the floor. The smile, how quickly it died. Daniel looked down. A black hand was wrapped around his leg. Not a hand made of skin, not bone, not anything that belonged in this world. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Then another shape unfolded from under the table. Then another from the wall. Then another from the dark glass of the kitchen window. Daniel's eyes went wide, wider than fear should allow. He looked at Marla like he wanted her to explain it, like the world had broken a rule and he needed someone to fix it. The shadows pulled. He hit the floor hard. Now he screamed. He kicked, clawed at the tile. His gloves squeaked against the floor as he tried to crawl away. The shadows stretched around him, wrapping his arms, his chest, his throat. He looked smaller suddenly. Not dangerous, not powerful. Just a man who had walked into a house believing a woman was alone. Marla stood still. The dark opened behind him. Not a doorway. Not exactly. More like the kitchen had grown a second night inside the first one. Daniel saw it. Whatever was on the other side, he saw it. His face changed completely. That was when the real terror came. Not when they grabbed him. Not when they dragged him. When he understood they were taking him somewhere. No, he gasped. No, no, no. The shadows pulled him backward. His nails scraped the floor. His shoes kicked once against the cabinet. Then he was gone. The kitchen snapped quiet. Marla stood there a long time. Then she looked toward the pantry. You didn't have to knock the glasses down earlier. The light above the sink flickered. The empty house settled around her. In the morning, Mrs. Keller saw Marla on the porch again, rocking, drinking coffee, talking softly to the empty chair beside her. Mrs. Keller shook her head and went back inside. Marla smiled. Beside her, the second chair rocked once. Just once.